Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So Prince Harry has been slammed by the British taxpayer yet again, and by British citizens. I think he was attempting to wish us well and to give an uplifting message to the youths who use this charity called the One Side Charity, which is something that he is affiliated with by default of having still retaining his 14 patronages over here. I don't understand how Harry could still be retaining his Duke of Sussex title, considering he does absolutely nothing for the people in Sussex, and considering he is no longer residing in the UK, but that's by the by. Also, he's retained his 14 patronages, as I just said, which doesn't really make any sense considering he's all the way in LA. He gave a Zoom call / voice note to the users of the One Side charity, and he was trying to, I think, give an uplifting message, but he's ended up coming under fire, especially by us over here in the UK, because he has made reference to how the youths are actually coping with the current pandemic. And he has used a word salad. Yep, he's used a word salad, which seems to be the doing of Meghan. He seemed to clearly be reading a speech. Now, I'm really surprised that Harry hasn't just popped up once, but he's popped up twice on my newsfeed. He's consistently popping up. This is his second video Zoom call that's popped up in the last 48 hours. Harry has popped up, and it just seems like he is floundering around on the camera for attention, and Meghan is writing his speeches. A lot of people have made reference to him clearly reading from a deck of cards, it would seem. It sounds very much like Meghan's speech that she gave, or the interview that she gave when they was in South Africa, complaining and whining about their life in front of those poor, orphaned and disabled African children. They actually used the documentary to, you know, be a spokespiece for their problems as royals and as multimillionaires who fly around on private planes, to moan about the media intrusion and how difficult it is to be rich and how difficult it is to have the media having a hand in your life, despite the fact that effectively news reporters, British news reporters, pay their taxes and therefore pay for their lifestyle. But they had no regard for that. During that speech, we all know she said the famous catastrophic words of, it's not just enough to survive, you have to thrive. It's not just enough to survive something. They are striving for true happiness. They are striving for a quality of life. Interesting. So Harry comes back and he makes this sarcastic remark, which I found to be quite patronising again, and that's exactly what Meghan and Harry seem to be good at. They seem to be very good at making you feel enraged, making you feel patronised, making you feel like they are laughing at your state. And he said that he thinks that the youths of Britain are doing really well during the pandemic, and they're not just surviving in this difficult time of austerity where people have essentially lost their incomes, etc., but they are thriving, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm not going to go into the statistical facts of what people are exactly experiencing right now, because I think we all know it's not the most easiest of times. Harry made that sarcastic comment and he seemed to stutter on the words himself. I think he knew that it would have a catastrophic impact on his standing with the British public. But I don't think he really cared about that. I think he done it in a way with malicious intent. I think that it was said with malicious intent to rub salt into wounds. Harry is fully aware that we cannot all just jump on the planes, the private planes of very high profile people, and get away from it all and sit by a pool and bask in the LA sun like he is. And there's nothing I would want to do more right now than to quarantine somewhere like LA or somewhere really glamorous with sun and with a pool. I haven't seen a pool in a very long time, especially a private pool. So he knows that he's sipping his kale whipped banana organic smoothie by the pool daily, probably prepared by one of Meghan's hired assistants. Hopefully this person is not 70 years old like Rebecca Mostow. And he's having the time of his life, and then he jumps on camera and he says this. Now, a lot of people seem to have lost their minds over this, because regarding this charity that he actually was on the Zoom call with, I believe, or this video message was sent to, the last time he actually physically visited a premise, because they have 12 youth clubs that they run under the umbrella of this one charity. He last visited on the 14th of April 2019. It is just beggars belief, as I keep on saying, that he would be having this opinion and that he would be saying that they are thriving. I would really like to know if these children that actually use these youth clubs, because I'm sure that, you know, I have many listeners all over the world from all different countries. Over here, a youth club, and I'm sure it's the same abroad, is for children generally who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. Generally, their parents can't afford the after-school activities that more privileged children do enjoy. That's the main function of a youth club, is to provide children with after-school activities outside of school that their richer counterparts do enjoy, because their parents can afford to pay for their tuition for, let's say, piano lessons or horse riding or swimming or kickboxing or karate or ballet. A lot of these things are privileges, especially over here. Not that we are in the third world, but a lot of children do fall through the net and they don't have access to ballet classes and all of these lovely things that every child should have access to. Hence, we have had the creation of youth clubs, and I'm sure they exist everywhere. A lot of these children are from disadvantaged backgrounds, as I said, and they would attend these youth clubs, especially during these times, to have stimulation, to have something to do, to interact with kids that they can relate to have that one-on-one personal interaction by an adult, preferably find someone to mentor them through life, navigate them through their adolescence and through their teenage years, which can be very challenging, especially if you come from a disadvantaged background. He's speaking on behalf of people like that. What does Harry really know about having a disadvantaged childhood? What does he really know about his parents saying, no, you can't have that swimming class, you can't go to karate because we simply can't afford it. Go outside, play with your friends. You see, youth clubs are meant to be the bridge between children having stimulation and falling into the hands of a gang, falling into the hands of people who essentially get them into gangs and use them to do their low down bidding. That is what a youth club's function is essentially meant to serve. It's meant to save those children from the grips of the streets and give them something to do and put them on the right path. A lot of the time in youth clubs, they try to match children with people who have come from disadvantaged backgrounds themselves, who can actually mentor them away from street crime and throwing their life away, and get them into higher education. It's meant to just bridge that gap and make them think of the future. Harry is a very extremely privileged young man. He hasn't had to worry about food during this pandemic. He hasn't had to worry about his next meal. And baby Archie really will not have to worry about daddy being able to afford his karate classes or his archery classes or whatever his heart desires, whatever interests he has. Meghan and Harry will, rest assured, have the money to afford Archie activities. These children don't come from that. A lot of the time, as I've covered in previous videos, these children don't even sometimes have access to food. Their parents are visiting food banks while they actually go to these youth clubs to have dinner. A lot of these youth clubs are just feeding children. It can be that bad. And Harry is patronising us yet again by saying they're thriving. Has he ensured that they're eating? Does he know if every single child who accesses all 12 of these youth clubs or some of these youth clubs has eaten a meal tonight? No, he doesn't know. So people have commented on this and they have come for him in the comments. One person has said, no surprise, he's using Meghan's words. She writes his speeches. Harry is literally Meghan's puppet. Another person said patronising and deluded statement and person all rolled into one. You have left the country, you know nothing. And that's exactly what I've said. What does Harry really know? Someone has basically said that he is pretty much a victim of systematic narcissistic abuse. They think that Harry is showing the signs of being broken down, showing the signs of narcissistic control and narcissistic abuse. So I'm going to read their comment here. This is what happens to victims of narcissists. They lose their own personality and sense of self, become a vacuum that can only be filled by the narcissistic, worry about suffering narcissistic rage and humiliation. Life is easier to just do what the narcissist wants. And I think this person is actually basically saying that Meghan has Harry under narcissistic control. And that did definitely come across. That speech was all Meghan, but Harry knows what he's reading. He's not that simple. Harry knew the impact, I believe, of this speech, but I think that the way in which it was written, he was clearly reading off of cards that were either being interchanged as he spoke by Meghan probably. It was probably filmed by Meghan. She was probably holding the camera behind the camera. But he had a play in this, but definitely those words were from her speech in South Africa, and he is just reinforcing and supporting that message that she conveyed, which means that Meghan is not remorseful in any way, shape or form about those words, which have ricocheted across the internet and got a lot of people infuriated, especially me. Me, as a woman of colour, how dare she say that, especially in a place like South Africa, and especially when she's meant to be doing charity work. It was just alarming and very distressing for me to see her say that, but she said it. That is the summary of Harry. Harry is pretty much just insulting us as usual. Where is this going to end? I have no idea. I guess we will learn to see more. Anyway, guys, I'll be back for another video. Bye.